Your About page is arguably one of the most important pages on your website. And coincidentally, it's also one of the pages that stress people out the most. I wonder why. So, I want to go over how to write your About page and what should be on it because I want to help you reduce that stress and get your website launched and working for you quicker. Okay. Now, if we haven't met before, I'm Cass from Lovely Impact. I am the brand and website designer on the team, and I'm really excited that you're here. My goal is to give you all of the branding, website, and coaching business tips that I can to help you grow your business faster and start making more money as a coach. Now, let's dive into an About page and let me kind of clear up some myths and misconceptions and all that kind of stuff. Now, one of the most common phrases that you will hear as an entrepreneur, as a business owner, as a whatever you want to call it when you're thinking about your website is that your About page is not about you. And that's both true and false. So, your About page is about you. The whole purpose of an About page is for people to learn more about you and your business when they go to it. But your About page is also about your client. So really it's about the relationship that you are building with your prospective clients and the trust that you are creating in that client in order to get them to say, hey, I want to work with her. So your About page is about you and it's also about them. It's a nifty little balance, but I'm going to walk you through how to kind of toe that line and hit both sides of that equation in this video. Now, let's talk about your About page in terms of its importance. Now, on the Lovely Impact website, in our Google Analytics, we track all of our pages, and our About page is always within the top 12 most visited pages. And that's with more than 100 blog posts, more than 30 actual pages on the site in different ways, shapes, and forms, all that kind of stuff. So ranking number 12, when you're talking about more than total 150 is pretty important. And that stays pretty consistently up there on that ranking. People go to an About page because they want to know who they're doing business with. They want to get to know the face behind the screen, behind the brand, behind the computer, right? They want to know who is teaching them or sharing with them or coaching them or working with them or whatever it might be. So your About page is always going to be super important. And especially if you are not going to be blogging, you're not going to have a ton of different pages, you're not going to be putting out a ton of different content, your About page just becomes that much more important because it's where people start to trust you. It's where they go to learn about you and whether your personality meshes with them and their needs. Okay. So there are 4 things that need to be included in an About page, and they are who, what, where, and why. Now, as a coach, you might be location independent, right? So you might work with people all over the world, and so your where, like where you're located, isn't the most important thing in the world. So you could potentially cut that, but that still leaves the who, the what, and the why that you have to cover on your About page in order to give people the information that they are looking for about you. So we're going to go over each individual section here, and I'm going to give you some tips and insights into what should be included in them. So you've probably already guessed that the who section is about you. Hey, surprise! Now, this is where you're going to introduce yourself. It's where you're going to let people get to know you. Now, I want to note that this is not an autobiography of your life, okay? They do not need to know where you went to high school, where you went to college, what you used to major in, or what you used to do as a career, unless it really, really applies to your coaching business. They don't really care about things like your marital status or, your number of kids. Unless you're coaching moms, they want to know that you're a mom, or unless you're a relationship coach, they want to know that you are in fact in a serious relationship and you know what you're talking about. But otherwise, they don't need all those details. They don't need your full resume. They don't need every single thing that you've ever done in your life, every transition you've made. They need to know who you are kind of at your core, like the things that matter to you. I am a brand and website designer, and I'm really passionate about helping coaches build their business. And I attribute this to the fact that, I've always wanted to help people, and I feel like I get to help people on a grander scale by helping coaches, right? Because coaches are out there also helping people. So if I help coaches, that multiplies the effect that I have on other people's lives. That's what's on my about page, or a variation of that, right? So you're introducing yourself, but you're not giving an autobiography. You're just telling them what they really need to know about you and you as a coach, and also in a way that showcases your personality. So you can feel free to give some details that apply and give some little quirks or things like that if it's going to make people feel like they know you better. But don't give them 10 paragraphs on your whole life story. That's not what this is about. This is just about getting them to know who you are and recognize your name. Okay? That's all the who section is about. Okay, let's talk about the what section. This is the most important section of the page, and I say that because this is where you are telling people what it is that you do very, very clearly. And you're also explaining who it is you do that for. So not only are you stating that you are a relationship coach, but you're also stating that you work with divorced moms who struggle to, get back into the dating scene, or that you are a weight loss coach who works with women in their 50s, or you are a business coach who works with people who are just getting started building their business or just breaking into the entrepreneur world or something to that effect. You have to be as clear as possible in this section and tell people exactly what it is you do and who you do it for. Okay? I want you to remember that a confused mind always says no. So if people don't know what it is you do and who you do it for very specifically, they're going to say, I don't think she's right for me. I don't think that she offers exactly what I'm looking for. Versus a person who comes to a very clear version of your website, your about page, is going to say, oh yeah, she does exactly what I'm looking for. She's exactly the person I need to be working with. Okay? So make it very clear what you do and who you do it for. Now, a little caveat on this. I want you to edit your content for this section and look for any industry or coaching specific terms. Okay, so I'm talking about terms like aligned or transformation, or what's another good one? Methodology, or, those terms that we as coaches understand what they mean, but people who have never worked with a coach are going to be like, I don't know what she's talking about. What kind of transformation? Aligned with what? What is a methodology? Right? Because that's going to confuse them. They don't know what that is. They don't know what that means. They don't know what it means to do thought work, or what it means to manage their minds, or what any of that means. They just think that they have a problem and you're going to teach them how to solve it. So I want you to be very, very simple, very, very clear, and ditch all of those coaching terms that could create any sort of confusion for someone who isn't familiar with coaching already. Okay? All right, we're going to move on to the next section. Okay, so this is the optional section of where. Now, if you offer local services, for instance, you get together at a coffee shop with your clients, maybe this is a pre-COVID situation. I don't know. Since we're currently in the COVID situation, maybe you don't offer local services right now. But if you do, if you plan to, if you want to, then you need to make it clear where you're located. And you can do this very simply by stating, I'm in the Los Angeles area, or I'm from the suburbs of Chicago, or whatever it might be. And you can even do it by putting it within your who section, right? So you could simply say, hey, I'm Cass and I live just outside Milwaukee, Wisconsin, and I work with, coaches to help them build their business. And it doesn't have to be some big, long, drawn out thing. It doesn't have to be some specially called out section. But if you're going to do location specific coaching, then you need to include your location. Now, you can use it as kind of a little fun info about you piece. Like, it doesn't have to necessarily be because you offer on-site or in-person coaching. You can just offer it as a little detail about yourself. But if you are doing, like I said, in-person coaching, then this is a mandatory inclusion for your page. Otherwise, you can just kind of skip over to the next section. Okay, let's talk about the why section. Now, I kind of touched on this a little bit in the what section when I gave you my example of being, doing this because I want to help other coaches expand their reach and multiply my own impact. But you have to essentially explain to people why you're a coach and why they need you in their life. And this is really, really important because if people don't understand your motivation for doing being a coach, if they think that you're just doing it because it's trendy, it's the new hot job, it's the new hot thing, or because it's just an easy way for you to make money from home, or whatever it might be, they're going to kind of draw away from you. They want to understand that there is purpose driving you, that you're not just doing this for the paycheck, but you're doing it because you want to help someone, or you want to make a difference, or you've been in this situation before, or you know what it's like, etc., etc. Okay, so you're going to share the why you're a coach on your about page, and that's going to help people feel connected to you. It's going to help build the relationship and grow the trust that these people need in order to reach out to you and hire you to be their coach. Okay, so I want you to really spend some time on this, really play around with it. If you haven't identified your why in the past, then you kind of need to pull up your pants and do the work. You need to sit down and brainstorm all the reasons why you're a coach, and then go through them and cross off the ones that aren't going to be as effective, they're not going to be as impactful, and really figure out which ones are going to say the most and mean the most to your ideal client. Okay, so share your why, share why you're doing this, why you're a coach, why they need you in their lives, and maybe even talk about what you can help them accomplish in their lives or change in their lives. Okay, so that is the final of the 4 sections. Now, there are a couple more things that we need for an about page, and I'm going to go over those next, so don't click out of this video quite yet. Okay, so the call to action is one of the things that is most frequently forgotten on an about page. People tend to write the page and they list out all their information and give their full story, or even if they do it right and they limit things to just what the client needs to know, but then they forget to put the section at the bottom where it says, hey, take the next step, go to my services page, check out my offers, and then book a call with me. Hello, you need that call to action. You need to get people from your about page to your services page or your sales page or whatever it is that is going to make them then book the call with you, right? You can't forget this step because they might get through and get to the end of the page and be like, I'm not really sure what to do next. Because people have short attention spans. They have super, super short attention spans, especially these days, especially on the internet, especially in the current climate of the world. They are very much like, Oh, I don't know what to do next. Oh, well, okay, let me just go back to Netflix. You need to make that really strong call to action and say, hey, I'd love to work with you. Click this button and check out what I have to offer. Okay? That's your main call to action from your services page, or from your about page, I mean, is to get them to your services page, to get them to the next step in booking that call. Okay? All right, so next up, we're going to go over the opening section of your about page and what to put at the very top in order to get people to pay attention. Okay, so I saved the headline for kind of the end because a lot of people will get really hung up on writing a perfect headline and they'll never get around to the other stuff. So I want you to wait to do your headline until the last step because, maybe you don't really know what that headline should be until after you've gotten through the rest of your content. And your headline is really, really important. It's one of the most important pieces of this page because it's what makes people determine whether or not to read further. So here is what your headline should not be. Please, please, please do not use one of these versions that I'm about to share with you. Meet Kate. About me. Our company. This is me. Hey, I'm Cass. Check me out. All of those are corny, overused, overdone, and they don't really do anything or give your client any kind of push to read further. It's just kind of like a, hey, okay, see you later. That's essentially what one of those headlines does. Instead, you are going to write a headline that gets their attention and gets them to keep reading. Your headline needs to make them pause and say, hey, that kind of sounds like me. I think she's talking to me. I think this is meant for me to read. Okay? So you really need to understand your ideal client in order to write a headline like this. But once you do it and once you get it right, it's going to be amazing. It's going to change things so much. You want to start it with something like, hey, Mom, I see you over there struggling to manage your kids and, get your job done or run your business or whatever it might be. Or, hey, lady, I know what you're struggling with. You can't seem to focus and get everything done in a day that you set out to do. Or something like, what's a good example? My brain goes blank when I'm recording videos. I can't help it, man. You should get an idea of what I'm talking about. Like, you want to create a headline that gets their attention and kind of pushes on their pain point, like on what they're struggling with in their life, because they're going to say, that sounds like what I'm struggling with. Let me just keep reading and see what she's got to say to me. That's the whole goal. That's the whole purpose. So you need to write this headline and you need to make it a good one. Now, you're probably not going to write a great version of your headline in the first try, and you might not even get to it in the 10th try. You might need to sit there and write headline versions for, a half hour or so. And it's tedious and it sucks, but it's going to be amazing when you get it right. Okay, so don't skip over this. Write a headline that is really, really effective. It really gets people's attention. It makes them pause and say, oh yeah, that sounds like me. I'm going to keep reading. Yeah, okay. So one last little thing I'm going to share with you in the next section, and then we are going to wrap up the About page. Okay, let's talk about the final little sections that you could add to your About page, and these are the bonus content sections. Now, these bonus content sections need to do one of two things. They either need to build trust with the client or showcase your personality. Now, I'm going to give you two examples, and you can kind of run with them and create something else and see where you end up. Now, for building trust, a good example would be including your press bar, right? So your as seen in, your features, everything like that. It shows people like, hey, she's been around for a while. She's been featured in these different publications and media, and people trust her. So I can too. Okay. That's a great trust building section to add. On the personality side of things, you could add a fun facts section. And this would be where you are answering little snippets or sharing little details about your life, or maybe doing a little quiz or something that just give them little snippets of information that they wouldn't have otherwise. Like, oh, am I a coffee or tea kind of person? What's my favorite book? Like, what do I love to read? What is my favorite hobby? What is my all-time favorite binge-worthy TV show? Stuff like that. It's just little snippets, little things that don't necessarily pertain to your business, but they help people feel like they know you. And that then feels like they like you, right? Like maybe they're like, oh, she watches Game of Thrones, so do I. And it builds that connection with the client. And then they're like, oh yeah, I should really work with her. I'm going to go back and I'm going to click that button and I'm going to sign up for a call. Yeah, because I like her. That's the whole point, okay? So any additional content that you add to your About page needs to either build trust or showcase your personality, okay? All right, so those are all the components of your About page. I hope that you took copious amounts of notes. Of course, you can come back and watch the video again if you need to. If you are still struggling, if you feel like you need more help, if you want help with the other pages on your website, I definitely recommend that you check out our website copywriting guide. Okay, so it's available in our shop, and we walk you through writing the content for every single page of your website. Every single one. There are, I believe it's 14 or 15 page templates included, meaning we walk you through how to write your copy for all of them. Tell you where you need a headline, where you need to talk about who you are, where you need to talk about what you do, where you talk about your services, where you talk about your blog posts, everything. Okay. So if you want more help with writing your website copy, definitely go and check out our website copywriting guide in the shop. It's at lovelyimpact.com/shop. And we will get you all set up and ready to go and have your website copy written in a breeze, in a flash, in a snap, in a something or other, quickly, as painlessly as possible. Okay, this is what we love to do. We love to help coaches build their brand and website, and we couldn't do that without having a copywriting guide. So I hope you'll check that out. I hope that this video has been super helpful. Please like it, please share it, and I will see you next time.